Yo, 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 what up, man? Welcome to the Mezzo Forte Sportz. That's right, boy. Talk with the super fans. We tune out with the crew. We got today's edition. Finally, we got our boy Bad Luck Beto in the house. What up, man? We got a guy who's walked the walk and he talks the talk. It is our coach, Tosco. As always, faithful producer, Crack AV. Fearless host, Danny BMD. And me, of course, your amateur hype man, super fan art. We're talking sports from Texas style. Go ahead and take it away, Dan.
Yo, 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 welcome to Mezzo Forte Sportz. Ball talk for super fans. Coming to you live from San Antonio, Texas, to your ears. Providing some sports time for your free time. What up, this your host, Danny BMD. How's everyone doing today, and how did your team do this week? Alright, guys, so here it is. Post Super Bowl week and weekend. Unfortunately, no more football for a good amount of time. Oh no, yeah, I know we're all kind of hurt, but man, it was a very interesting Super Bowl to say at the very least. We'll kind of leave it at that before we kind of get into a little bit more into that. But let's just say a little say hi around the round table. We can go ahead and start with our guy who hasn't been here in a while. Bad luck, Beto. How you doing, man?
Really good, guys. Thank you for having me once again.
Mhm.
I appreciate you all being patient with me, but feels good to be back and actually I'm watching sports as we speak.
Nice. And of course, Mr. Coach Tosco, how you doing, bro? How's the game?
Coach.
Good, bro. Just watching the Spurs not live up to expectations again.
Oh my God, they're winning. My bad.
Uh,
No,
winning
they're losing.
not tonight.
Not tonight.
Draymond
Whatever.
is not doing his job.
Whatever. Well, it's just we'll talk about that later. Superfan Art. Obviously, you guys know and heard his voice. How you doing, man? How was your weekend?
Doing well, man. We had some good surprises. We got technically a decent Super Bowl. Got to see the GOAT, Tom Brady. We saw a very deflated weekend, look more like the Monday. And we saw Draymond Green trying to play hero.
Yeah, that was funny. I mean, Spurs kind of took advantage of that. But Mr. Crack AV, how you doing, Mr. Producer?
Hey guys, I'm doing really great. Hanging out here in San Antonio now.
Nice.
But yeah, I saw the Super Bowl here in San Antonio. I even grilled and I had a great time.
Nice.
So I'm here to talk about more sports with y'all.
Perfect. So kind of moving along with that, just kind of staying on along football. Of course, we're gonna do our gridiron news. I'm just gonna go over all the points and we can just kind of talk about them. Super Bowl 55. We all kind of saw it. I know that we did have our scores and picks. That's we won't talk about this time around. We'll actually do it next time because we have a lot to talk about today. But the Tampa Bay Buccaneers did beat the Kansas City Chiefs 31-9. Tom Brady did win the 7th ring. The Bucs do get their second championship. Tom Brady did beat Drew Brees, Aaron Rodgers, and Patrick Mahomes, obviously, championship. To get to, or to beat, to go ahead and win, get his 7th ring. And he's the only person to win 3 championships in the last 3 decades. And then the Patrick Mahomes, the Chiefs, just weren't able to climb back from deficit as they usually do. He did have 2 picks, no TDs. He did run for like 497 yards before his passes / sacks. So he was like literally running all over the place for yards that didn't even count. We'll go ahead and leave it at that. I do want Tosco's just kind of first thoughts, because I know that you hit the 31, but definitely not the 27 or the 28. 27. What do you think?
Well, it was. I thought it was gonna be they were gonna get it up to 27 because Mahomes was gonna show up, but Mahomes didn't show. I said it on last week's episode. It's the O line. Kansas City O line needs to show up. Kansas City online needs to be there to protect and be able to give Mahomes time. And then when Mahomes did get time, he was trying to go for the home run. He was trying to go for Tyreek Hill. Tampa Bay did a good job of having two high safeties, taking Tyreek Hill away from the offense, and they basically said, "Give it to Travis Kelsey, give it to your other receivers, and we'll make it a game." And Kansas City didn't want to do that. They wanted to go for the big play. They wanted to go for those chunk plays, and it didn't work out. That's why Mahomes didn't have time. That's why he ran around for 400 and something yards or whatever ridiculous stat that was, because he was trying to go deep every single play,
Yeah, he
and that's
was.
not smart. That's not smart. That was
It's
him.
not.
Just that was him looking like a third, fourth year quarterback, not Mahomes, superstar, Super Bowl MVP. That looked
Yeah.
like a regular third year quarterback, fourth year quarterback, trying to make something happen out of nothing.
Beto, just first couple thoughts after Super Bowl. What do you think?
Well, first and foremost, I'm fascinated by the score line that Tosco had because me personally, I wasn't here the last time, but or times before that for that matter. But I actually my prediction was 31-28, but Chiefs winning it, and I know I think I saw, if I'm not mistaken, the betting line was Tampa Bay -3, if I'm not mistaken. Um,
Plus 3.5.
plus 3.5. I'm sorry. Um, so I was like, wow, that's pretty. It was a pretty good scoreline. However, uh, people are gonna say I have some friends, personal friends, really close friends who are actually Chiefs fans, dating back to the Alex Smith days, and I see it, and people are gonna say, oh, the turf toe, oh, this and that, but just much like what Tosco said, he looked like a like a third year, fourth year quarterback just trying to make something out of nothing. Uh, I mean, at the end of the day, yes, he is Patrick Mahomes, but talent alone can't do it. I mean, you can't do it alone. I mean, at the end of the day, that O line was horrible, and I was even saying since the beginning when the Tampa Bay Buccaneers made the playoffs and they played their first game in the wild card, it was that defense came to play. I mean, they were on and off. I mean, but they were like what, number two, number three defense in the league during the season. Even they were kind of like on and off. But I could be mistaken. They were my fantasy, and they did me good. However, they just depended on what defense came to show up to play, and that defense showed up to play and had Patrick Mahomes running around ragged. I think that was the X factor. And not only that, with Tom Brady just doing what he does best. I mean, I don't like him, nor do I hate him, but I mean, I think this one solidified that he is the greatest of all time, without Belichick.
And you could see Tampa Bay's defense,
Yeah.
like Beto said, starting the playoffs, and I said it every time I was on the podcast.
Yeah.
Every game in the playoffs, they look like they were a different defense. They were
Yeah.
hitting harder. They were running
You said it.
faster,
Especially the
and
linebackers, bro. You called them. You called them hard.
it's Devin White is a superstar in the making. He was on every play. He was there. He
Everywhere.
was
Ball awareness
talking
galore, bro.
talking smack. He was there. Levante David was holding
Yeah.
down Travis Kelsey. And yeah,
That was
Travis Kelsey,
crazy.
if you look at his stats, he had a good game. He had, I think it was what, 70 catches for almost 100 yards or whatever.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
fine
Yeah, but I mean,
as
he didn't
long
he
as
didn't
you
get a
take
TD.
away
Yeah.
as long as you take away everything else. You
Yeah.
take away everything else, you give Travis Kelsey those, that's fine. For a whole game, that's not bad, because that's a first down here and there if you really think about it. So what doesn't help Kansas City is, yeah, the O line. The thing is when you don't have a good O line, you need to run the ball to at least try and bring the defense up.
Yeah.
Try and bring that extra defender down so that you don't have too many people deep, because you need to have them respect the fact that you're going to run the ball. Kansas City didn't even try.
No.
Didn't even try. Didn't even try to run the ball. Whatever attempts they did to run the ball were pathetic, and it was a disaster. At that point, after the second quarter, when Andy Reid messed up with the timeouts and gave essentially an extra possession to Tampa Bay, and they took it down the score right before halftime. Um,
Oh,
that was
okay. Yeah,
basically
yeah.
that was basically the game. People were saying, "Oh, Mahomes is going to take over the second half." No, it was not going to happen unless they were going to get a new offensive line. It was not going to happen. And 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 you can see it. And from then on, it was just bad coaching. It was
Like
bad coaching
that,
on
like that.
it was like that. I mean, and the Super. You're talking about this isn't a regular season game, a playoff game. This is a Super Bowl.
That's
You
right.
know, you're talking about the biggest game of the year.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
that's true.
and the coaching the second half was horrendous. The Chiefs made no adjustments. They didn't do anything. They didn't change anything. They kept on trying to do the same thing. And yeah, towards the end, they started realizing, oh, they're giving us the short passes. They're giving us Travis Kelce. Let's go to them. But it was already too little, too late. And so, and you know, and that's that. Tampa Bay didn't even blitz. There was some blitzes at the beginning, but once they realized that they didn't need to blitz, Todd Bowles, the defensive coordinator for the Buccaneers, stopped blitzing, and he just sent the D lineman. That's all they needed. They just overpowered. They were too fast, too strong, and Mahomes couldn't get it done. He didn't show that X factor that day.
The D line was certainly more hungrier
Yeah,
than the
man.
other.
Yeah, man. JPP was like alive. I mean, Sue. I mean, dude, Sue has been playing for a while. Remember where like we saw him in college, those school, like we talked about him, like that dude's like dirty, but he's a beast, and you know,
And the thing is, and the thing is that, and the thing is it's a Super Bowl. That's how you're supposed to come.
yeah,
That's how you're supposed to show up to the Super Bowl. Not not hesitant and not knowing what to do, unsure. It's a Super Bowl. You've done already 17, 18, 19 games. Like you should already know. You had 2 weeks to prepare. You know, these guards, this O-line had 2 weeks to prepare for these D linemen, and they still weren't ready.
Mm-hmm.
And then so for you, Beto, would you say that it was more Brady or the Buccaneers D, or maybe just a little bit of both?
Well, I believe Brady and Gronk broke a record or did some record. I wasn't paying attention to the stat line, but
I think it's post. I think it's postseason TDs for receiver QB combo or something like that.
or was it like a Super Bowl thing? It was. It doesn't matter.
Okay, I don't
Anyway,
know. Yeah,
well, I think it was a
I
Super
think
Bowl
I
thing.
think
but-
it's they have 10 touchdowns together in Super Bowls.
Oh, okay.
Dang,
Well,
dude, that's
I mean,
a lot.
I know that is a lot. I mean, how many people? I mean, playing at Super Bowl is one thing, which is something not many people can say. But I mean, scoring a touchdown at Super Bowl, wow! Like that's something that I think. Even when I play Madden, sometimes I'm like, I get that rookie that I got in the first round, and you get that guy a touchdown or something. You know, even if it's fake, I still try to make it happen. But honestly, going back to the question, it Tom Brady managed that game to a T, but that defense was just overpowering. And I mean, JPP, I mean, he hasn't been. I don't remember the last game that he was dominant. Again, I could be mistaken. I don't follow the Buccaneers,
Yeah,
but I mean, since he was with the Cowboys and he gave, I mean, with the Giants, and he would play against the Cowboys, and he would make it a nightmare for Romo. I mean, even now that he only has 9 fingers, he was playing at a disadvantage, and he was doing amazing. Like that guy was an X factor. Sue was an X factor.
seriously,
That whole defense in general, just did their homework and studied the Chiefs, and that's what great coaching does. My hats off to Bruce Arians. I mean, he came in with how he went in with the Colts, how he went in with the Cards, and then now with the Buccaneers. I give my hats off to Arians for doing what he needed to do, and Tom Brady was just fell to their lap. It was a godsend. But that defense has been coached up, man. Bowles did a great job, and I mean that's why he was a head coach with the Jets for a while. I mean,
oh yeah,
my hats off to the organization.
True that.
So I mean, there's a reason why he was a head coach for a reason, and it just showed that game.
So for you, Superfan Art, what'd you think of Super Bowl?
Well, I predicted 35-28 in favor of the Bucks. Now, obviously, Brady did his end. Chiefs didn't do their end.
Yeah,
It was a defensive clinic. It made Mahomes look like he was back in Lubbock at Texas Tech. And Sue looked like he was back in Nebraska.
yeah.
Crazy.
Seriously though,
Cornhuskers.
You play with Russell Wilson? No.
Wilson
Who?
was in Wisconsin.
Yeah,
No, that
Russell.
was Wisconsin. That was Wisconsin. That was Wisconsin.
Yeah, he's a
Them
back.
colors.
Jew was a Cornhusker, and he was chucking a lot of
Oh,
Husk
because he was with the
on
in the
Sunday.
Big 12. True that.
Yeah, it was
Once
Nebraska was
upon
the
a
Big
time.
12 back then. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, definitely
I
the
remember
defense
that.
is ultimately what won the game. Yeah, Brady got the MVP. Yeah, he deserves it. You know, if you look at the season as a whole,
Mhm.
because I don't think Tampa would have even made it without Brady and all the dominoes that fell after that. But on this day, Sunday, it was the defense that shined the most. And Mahomes, he was just rattled from start to finish.
Yeah.
I think he's probably he's probably like waking up in the middle of the night, still thinking he's like playing. So yeah, it
Hut,
was a
hut,
Super
hut.
Bowl in the books. Ooh, Sue, where's Sue at?
Well, I mean, even then, like them showing that he had to get surgery. I mean, they're making it a thing, guys. Like, I mean, turf toe. I mean, hey, I mean, again, I've never had the injury. I don't know the severity of it. I've heard of guys playing with. Well, he played with it. Mahomes played with turf toe, but I mean, Tosco, you're probably the professional on this one with turf toe. If it requires surgery or not, but maybe it's a quicker recovery thing. But I mean, I don't know if it really hindered him that much to not being able to play. Again, I've never I've never played with an injury yet. I've never played any professional organized sports to begin with. But I know Kobe Bryant shot 2 free throws with a torn Achilles, so I know that's painful.
Well, I
So
mean,
I
it's
mean,
it's a little different, but like the question is for you, Tosco, is like, would it have affected him that much, like him playing QB?
Uh, so turf toe is when your
Yeah,
big toe. Well,
let's explain to you what turf toe is, so the audience that doesn't actually know what that is. Yeah, go for
so
it.
basically, it's the joint. It's the joint that's like from the bone in your foot that connects to, I guess, the what is it, metatarsal, right? Something. Well,
that
those are
tarsals, yeah.
tarsal metatarsals.
Something like
It's
that.
basically when those bones connect in your toe, the joint there is damaged. It's sprained.
Yeah,
So it think about it when you run. You run off you're running. You're trying to stay on your toes, and every time you step, it's gonna cause pain. It's gonna cause pain. It's gonna cause pain. Um, do players play with turf toe? Yes, all the time. Do players also, miss games and seasons because of turf toe? Yes. It just depends on the severity. Now he was able to play. He had, the thing is you're gonna see it both ways because going into the game, you had him saying, "Oh, I'm almost 100%. It's basically like it's normal. I'm regular. I'm good to go." And then after the game, he's like, "Yeah, it was really bothering me." And then so, you know, it can go both ways. Is it something he could have played through? He said yes. He said that it wasn't that bad. But it's something that should it have affected him? No. The way he was running out there, it looked like he didn't even have turf toe. So I mean,
yeah,
that pretty
seriously.
much answers. Yeah, that pretty much answers your question.
Yeah.
So it wasn't Mahomes' fault that they lost the way they did.
Yeah,
It was uh, it was a team. It was the coaches not being able to put a better situation for him out there.
hmm
It was what was on him was them not being able to look better. You know, they didn't put him in a good situation, but with the situation he had, he didn't make a better uh, result happen. They got 9 points. He was running out there. And there was some throws that he missed. There were some throws that were on target. Hit the receivers right in the hand. Hit them in the helmet. Those are things that are supposed to be made.
yeah,
That's where those other
yeah.
receivers should have been there.
Yeah.
And like I said, it's not all on Mahomes, but you wanted to see more. You should have seen more from him. I still don't think I said it before with my pick. I still don't think the Chiefs would have won, even if Mahomes was 100%. Even if the O line was better, I still think the Bucks, the way they played, were good. Tom Brady, Beto said it perfectly, managed the game perfectly.
Yeah.
He got the MVP because you can't give it to a defense. But it
Yeah,
was the reason why they won the game was because of the defense,
it
not because of
was.
Brady. Because if the Chiefs were at 100%, it would have taken more than 31 points to beat the Chiefs. So
Yeah, very, very true. So just kind of moving along, continuing on with the NFL. Um, Obviously, the Super Bowl is over. The NFL season is over. I think I saw some meme out there that said like 7 months or so before football comes back. Which, oh my god, sounds horrible. But while we do that, we're gonna play a little contender or pretender game. Just gonna do like a little preseason pick. I guess not even preseason pick. It'd be more of a like a post Super Bowl pick. Now that the season's over, just talk about three teams. Just first impressions. See what you think of next year. As they currently are built, obviously there might be a couple changes and stuff like that. I don't think they will, but just kind of let me know. So we'll start with you, Tosco. So the
Oh,
first contender or pretender, we'll start with the Green Bay Packers. Are they a
uh,
contender or pretender for next year?
well, they're going to be a contender simply because of their division.
I7.
Uh, their
mhm.
division is weak. The Lions are basically, they have a new
Jared Goff.
quarterback. We'll see how they do. The Vikings are the same, haven't gotten better, but are still not very good. They have potential, but they still haven't put it together. The Bears are still a quarterback away. They don't even have a quarterback right now. So, because I don't think they've re-signed Trubisky, or maybe he has 1 year left. Either way, I mean, it's Trubisky. So
Are they
that
gonna
tells you
draft
everything.
someone?
No. The Bears, I mean, they could draft somebody, but not in the first round. Um, but so the Packers are going to be contenders.
Yeah.
They're probably going to lose a running back. They're going to lose Aaron Jones to free agency. So they got that rookie from this year, Dylan, that's going to be there. But they're not losing much. They're going to get Bakhtiari back from the torn ACL that he had, or torn Achilles. So he'll be back next year. But Aaron Rodgers is coming back. If Aaron Rodgers is playing the way he's playing, Devontae Adams is there catching the ball. I mean, there shouldn't be much drop off. The defense, I don't believe they're losing anybody. They're all pretty much set.
Yeah.
Uh, as I remember, maybe of course there may be one or two that they might be going into free agency, but it'd be dumb for them not to re-sign and then upgrade, because yes, the Packers are going to be contenders, but if they don't upgrade that defense, they're not going anywhere. They need that defense to be more dominant and show up and shut down, other offenses, like the Bucks, because they couldn't do it. So yeah,
Yes.
it's contenders.
Yeah. There we go. So in this
Contenders for
case,
sure.
so for you, Beto, pass along to you. The Green Bay Packers for next year, are they contenders or pretenders?
Since Juan's not here, I'll just have to say this: as long as they have that bad man under center, that MVP of
Bad.
this year,
He's a bad man,
bad
dude.
man.
Bad
As long as,
man.
as long as they have Aaron Rodgers under center, I mean, that team's always going to be a contender. Um, Now I don't know what they're going to plan on implement on Jordan Love. I think they're going to take another Aaron Rodgers experiment where when they had Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers was on the bench, but at the end of the day, it's really up to him and how far that team can go behind him. Uh, Aaron Jones, like you said, might be gone in preseason. For in the to free agency, I'm sorry, and that defense, I mean, they're very unpredictable. I mean, to say the least, they're not even. Uh, I mean, well, nothing compares to my Cowboys right now this season. But Dan Quinn, hopefully, they can change something. But again, like as long as they have Aaron Rodgers under center, I think that team's always going to be a contender.
Yeah, I honestly I agree. I mean that's just the way it is. We saw it this year where the the way that Rogers essentially put the team on his back and just took him all the way to almost a Super Bowl. We'll start you back to you, Beto, with contender pretender for the Baltimore Ravens.
Well, I might actually,
Oh, there we go. There we
uh,
go.
I might actually personally offend some certain people, but
Okay. There you go.
that team's a pretender. Uh,
Oh.
I mean, instead Lamar Jackson just came off of MVP season, and he just proved this season again that he's just a running back that could throw the football. Um, Defense is average. I mean, just a little bit of middle of the pack defense. That offense can be explosive at times. Just depends what teams are playing, honestly. Very, very volatile offense. Um, I'm sorry, guys. I'm watching the Australian Open as well, so I'm getting distracted. Um,
It's cool.
uh,
Justin Tucker
uh,
can't win all the games.
no, and Tucker, wow, I mean, that was every time when they would like jinx him, they would say like, "Well, the most accurate kicker of all time." Boom, kicks one wide right. Like, what the hell? You don't expect that from Tucker, but yet again, he's getting at that age. Just like Dan Bailey. Well, Dan Bailey was pretty good until they started jinxing him as well.
Oh
But
boy.
again, I mean, Mark
Maybe
Ingram.
he had turf toe. Who knows?
Mark Ingram got cut.
Mark Ingram got cut. That's a running back by committee. Honestly, the what was the name of the rookie again?
J.K.
The rookie,
Dobbins.
J.K. Dobbins. He was okay. He showed some flashes of success, but again, I mean, it was a running back by committee. Mark
Yeah.
Ingram is just a former shadow of himself from his Alabama days.
Yeah.
Uh, but again, I guess my biggest thing, Hollywood Brown isn't what everyone thought he was going to be, an exciting football player that just didn't live up to the hype. Des Bryant was just I guess, a way to sell, uh, just to sell commercials, I guess, because there was not many people in the games anyway to begin with this season. Was just an experiment waiting to happen. Was just a failed experiment that happened. Um,
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, all in all, it falls back to the quarterback play, and again, I mean, the Buffalo Bills exposed Lamar Jackson and him being just a running back who could throw the football.
I'll throw it back to you, Tosco. Baltimore Ravens, contenders or pretenders?
Well, I mean, to some degree, Beto's right.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to remember a few things. Uh, First off, uh, they're in a division with the Bengals, who I love Joe Burrow. Hopefully, he's 100% next year, and the Bengals eventually are going to be good. That offense looks really good. They need to shore up that online, uh, but they're a future team. They're still not going to be good next year. The Steelers are not going to be good next year. The Steelers are losing almost all of their players to free agents. They're losing Juju. They're losing all of their defensive guys. So I don't believe the Steelers are going to be contenders next year at all. So it's going to come down to the Ravens and Browns. Now we're talking about it like this. You look at the team. The Browns are basically not going to really lose much. They're going to be the same team coming back. The Ravens are gonna the biggest free agent threats for the Ravens are their defensive line. They might lose Matthew Judon, Yannick Ngakwe, Derek Wolf, Jihad Ward. All those guys play on the front line. So those are their biggest free agents. And if they lose those, then that defensive line is what makes that defense good. So they're gonna need to make sure they sign some of those and replace some of those. Now, I do agree to some degree that Hollywood Brown was not what they expected, but at the same time, Hollywood Brown is not a number one receiver. Hollywood Brown is not Juju Smith-Schuster. He's not
Yeah.
Odell Beckham. He's not Devontae Adams. He's never going to be those receivers. If they drafted him to be like that, then they made a mistake. They need a receiver, a big physical receiver to go on the other side of Hollywood Brown, and then Hollywood Brown becomes effective. Sammy Watkins, Tyreek Hill. Sammy Watkins is not the best receiver out there,
Yeah.
but he is a threat enough to get first downs. He runs good routes, and it leaves Tyreek Hill to go one-on-one, or they'll beat the double team down the field.
What about Robinson? Boom.
Who?
From I think
Rob?
from the Bears. Allen
from the
Robinson?
yeah,
Allen
sure.
Robinson.
Yes, exactly. So if they get Allen Robinson, that offense now is elevated tenfold. Okay. And
Mhm.
yes, say what you want. Lamar Jackson's a throwing running back. You know, he's a running back that throws the ball, but he's a running back that throws the ball that wins games, and that's not going to change. The the Ravens are still going to be contenders, and because he's going to win games running the ball. Now, are they going to be able to make it to the Super Bowl and win playoff games in the Super Bowl? I don't think so. But are they going to be contenders, making it to the playoffs and be at the top of the AFC? Yeah.
So in this case, I'm gonna go ahead and bring it back to you.
Contender.
Bring it back to you, Tosco, with the last one, which would be the Buffalo Bills. As we know, the Bills did lose on their way to the Super Bowl to the Kansas City Chiefs, which they ended with obviously ended up losing to the Tampa Bay Bucks, and but we did see a kind of a glimpse of what the Bills. That was their first Super Bowl run in a very long time. Excuse me.
93.
I was like,
Yeah, when they lost to the Cowboys.
yeah, there we go. I didn't know that. So just a very, very long time. So obviously, I would consider it a successful season for them. So just kind of your thoughts on this case, Tosco, for them, contender or pretender, the Buffalo Bills.
They're going to be a contender, Danny. They're going to be a contender for the next however long Josh Allen's
Ooh,
there.
Mm-hmm.
nice,
And that
So
nice.
defense.
the thing is that defense is good, but it can improve, and that's where they need to improve that D line, and they need to improve those linebackers. Uh, you have Tre'Davious White, one of the best corners. You have uh, uh, Ed Oliver, one of the best defensive tackles. You have Tremaine Edmonds, one of the best up and coming linebackers. But you need to put it all together, and you need to fill in some of those other spots offensively. They need a number two receiver. They have Stephon Diggs, who's awesome. He did a lot of things. Cole Beasley wasn't bad, and there was reports that he played most of the season with a broken leg. You know, that's Diggs is trying to do things down the field. They don't have a safety blanket, a reliable safety blanket at tight end, and they don't have a safety blanket in that number two receiver, that possession receiver they desperately need. That's got once you get that guy, it opens up the offense even more. And another thing is they need to figure out that defense, that running back, that backfield, because they have Zach Moss and they have Devin Singletary. And yes, you can use both. You can have two running backs going, and it'll be awesome. But the thing is that it's weird how they use them. You know, they one's going good, they take him on, they put the other one, and he's not doing great, but they leave him in, and they need to figure out more consistency and a better game flow for both of them, or make one of them the starter, and that's it. You know, and but when they start doing those things a little bit better, they add some pieces. The Bills are going to they could be a Super Bowl winning team within the next 5 years if they make some of those adjustments.
Yeah. So in this case, what do you think? Bad luck, Beto.
Much like Tosco said, the defense for me, in my opinion, the defense was above average. I want to say top 10. Edmonds, Oliver, and I mean for me, Josh Allen this past offseason, actually, I mean, and you're all gonna laugh at me. Um, he worked out with Tony Romo, got some advice from Tony Romo. Philip Rivers, he even got some advice from Philip Rivers as well. And I mean, they spoke highly of the kid. I mean, this guy, he's on his last year of his, I think he's in a fifth year option. So, I mean, he's looking to make like, I think 13 million this year. And he's been playing like a franchise quarterback. And I wouldn't be surprised if they extend his contract this offseason. At the end of the day, uh, he's doing everything right. He's a good leader on and off the field, uh, working on film, getting advice from people who've done it in the past. I know Tony Romo hasn't done anything, but look at him right now. He's one of the, I mean, behind John Madden, Kirk Herbstreit, um, all these other great sportscasters and analysts. I mean, he's one of the tops, and it's because he the knowledge of the game, the IQ, he went and sought out that. I mean, brute strength and talent is enough, but if you can't back it up with your IQ, I mean, then what good is that? And honestly, with Josh Allen, I mean, the next decade or so, I wouldn't be surprised if they don't win a Super Bowl. I mean, I
Wow.
think
Finally.
I mean, they hadn't had a good quarterback with them since Jim Kelly, and I wouldn't even call Trent Edwards a great quarterback, but I mean, he was and Fitzpatrick. I mean, they did okay.
Yeah.
I think Jim Kelly and Fitzpatrick are like the top two quarterbacks of that franchise, and Josh Allen's gonna shred those numbers up.
Tyron? No?
Who?
Tyron Taylor? No?
No, I mean, I know Trent Edwards, Fitzpatrick, Jim Kelly, Tyrod Taylor. I mean, he played what, like 2 years with them?
I think
3 years?
so.
2 years?
It's all right. He did all right.
Yeah, he was all right. He did all right. I mean, I actually was a big fan of Tyrod Taylor. He came out of TCU, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, no, Virginia Tech.
Mhm.
Back up to, was it the Ravens with Este Flacco? And I mean, I think he did good. He's the man of the
Oh
game,
yeah,
and
that's right. That's right.
he had his opportunity. I mean, he just got hurt. He got his opportunity with with the Browns and with the Bills, and I mean, he did all right. But I mean, at the end of the day, uh, it's as much as Josh Allen will, how far Josh Allen can take him, and I
Yeah.
think honestly he could take him all the way. So they're a contender.
Nice, nice. So just kind of moving forward a little bit. We'll go ahead and end it there. We will go talk, do a little refresher on our sports talk. We're gonna talk about a little bit about we like to talk about different sports here, so we're gonna try out a little bit different segments. So we're gonna go ahead and have Mr. Superfan Arts get us started with that segment. We're gonna talk a little baseball here with Coach Costco. Go ahead, man.
All right, real quick. That's just Danny said. We like to diversify our sports. So for all you Louisville Sluggers out there, we got the man who is our own baseball insider who knows how to round the bases and even cover outfield. We're calling out from the bullpen our own Coach Tosco.
Nice, nice.
Thanks, Art. Just a quick little segment, guys, on what's going on the diamond. We're baseball season is fast approaching. We got a couple of weeks before we start getting pitchers and catchers out into spring training, and then by the first week, so in about 2 months, we'll start with our first games of the year. Just some quick updates for the baseball season coming up. There was a few minor changes. There's still MLB is still expecting to have a full 162 game season. We'll start with our first. Last year they had a 60 game season, and it was, just marred by some quick by canceled games and rescheduled games and moving here and moving there. They had a lot of issues going on with the whole COVID pandemic going on. Now they're going to go ahead and try for a full 162 game season, with teams traveling while the pandemic is still going on. It's probably even worse than what it was when they played last fall. So the thing is that they're going to try and see. First, they came out and said about vaccinating all the players and having them vaccinated before they played, but then there was a lot of backlash, behind that. Why do these baseball players, why do athletes get preferential treatment over, people who are sick and elderly and so that came up. So then they backtracked and said that they didn't need to be vaccinated, but vaccinations would be, encouraged. Right. But they are going to try and go for a full 162 game season. So that's encouraging at least. And they did announce a couple of rule changes. So first off, one of the rule changes is that whenever they have doubleheaders, so that's a way for them to reschedule games whenever they're canceled. So, for example, the Red Sox are going to go play in New York versus the Yankees. They're going to play Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Well, if the Monday game is canceled because of COVID and the Tuesday game is canceled because of COVID, but then they're good for Wednesday for whatever reason, obviously just making up a situation, they can play a doubleheader on Wednesday to make up at least one of the games, and then they'll schedule the second game that was canceled later on in the year in another doubleheader. And so the doubleheaders are one game in the morning, one game, during the day, and then one game at night. But to not tire these players out, they're changing the games from 9 innings to 7 innings whenever there's doubleheaders.
Oh,
So
wow.
they're playing 2 innings less every game that's a doubleheader, so that they're not as tired, they're not as drained after a
Yeah.
doubleheader, because usually when it's a normal season, they have a doubleheader right before they go, take 2-3 days off, because I don't know if the people know, but whenever you have in a regular baseball season, the team is traveling constantly. They go home, they travel, they go home, they travel, and they have a 3-game series, and then they're off a day, and then they play another 3-game series, then they're off 2 days, and then they play another 3-game series, and then sometimes there's no games there's no days off in between, and they play another 3-game series. So sometimes they play 6 days back to back, 7 days depending. So they're gonna have that kind of schedule, but now throwing on the COVID cancellation, so they're gonna reduce the length of the games so that they can try and get as many games in, because you don't want a team that played 162 games, struggled and played 162 and then didn't make the playoffs by a few games, and you have a team who played 120 games, 40 games less because of COVID, but they made it to the playoffs, playing 40 games less. So they're going to try and make sure they schedule everything in and trying to get them going for the whole season. I don't know if every team's going to be able to play 162. I think it's going to be tough. But hopefully the situation across the country is better and it improves. And if it does, that means we're going to have a close to normal baseball season coming up. And another rule change that they're doing, which is something they did during the shortened season last year, was putting a runner in second base when they're starting extra innings. So a bunch of that if the game goes to 9 innings and they're still tied, they go into extra innings, right?
Yeah.
And then whoever scores at the end of that inning, if somebody scores and takes the lead, then the game is over there. Well, what they're doing is when they go into extra innings, the team that bats first is going to have a guy automatically on second base to start off the inning. So there's a guy already there. So what they're doing is they're trying to produce runs so that the game can finish faster.
Kind of like starting like at the 25 or 35-yard line
exactly,
or whatever.
Exactly. They're saying,
Wow.
exactly. We're comparing it to football. They're starting closer to the end zone so that they can already score points. So they're doing this. These are ways to help speed up the games, and not have games last 4, 5, 6 hours, because it's going to be a grind for all these players. So those are two of the main rule changes that they're going to go into for the full season in 2021. And then we had a report of MLB. It came out a few days ago that MLB is going to slightly deaden the balls. Now, what does that mean? Well, in the last few years, we had a surge of home runs in the MLB, in the league. I'm sorry, where there's been record numbers of people hitting home runs, record numbers of home runs per season, home runs per team, and it came out a few years ago that the MLB kind of changed the ball, the way it's made, and it kind of affected it, and that's why the balls became, they popped off the bat, and there's a lot of home runs going.
Whoa.
Well, they decided before the season to kind of take some of that off. So they're changing the ball slightly again, and through tests and trials that they've made, they've seen that the ball It's not going to travel as far, when the ball is hit a certain velocity, at a certain velocity, at a certain angle. So it's going to start, uh, making the ball not travel as far. So balls that could have been home runs now are going to be outs. So this is the MLB trying to control the situation with home runs, and trying to not make it just a home run league, because then what's going to end up happening, you're just going to have teams that have money pay for all the best home run hitters and just try and outscore everybody. And it kind of defeats the purpose of having pitchers then. So that's one of the main things that came out a few days ago that they're going to do. And they're going to do it by loosening the tension on some of the wool that is winded through the ball. They're going to loosen it up a little bit so it's not as tight. And so when the ball is hit, it doesn't just bounce straight off, with a greater force.
It's kind of cushioned. The
it's kind of
impact is
cushioned.
a little cushioned now.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
So
Distance will be reduced a bit.
How you doing,
so it's
Beto? You good and you go.
No, I'm good with.
Okay.
And it kind of that's kind of, it's going to loosen the impact and the velocity of the ball traveling out. So some of those are just some of the main rules and changes that the game's going through going into the season. On the I guess you can say the behind the scenes side of the game. But on the field, we've had a lot of changes, players wise, teams wise, and I have a few of them here. If I can go over these.
Yeah, go for it.
So first off, the Braves re-signed the NL leading home run hitter last year, Marcell Ozuna. So he signed, I think it was a 5-year contract to come back with the Braves. So that's gonna keep that offense going in Atlanta, and it's gonna be it's gonna continue to be a great addition with him, and it's gonna keep them contending at the top of the NL East. We did have a trade involving the Texas Rangers. Longtime shortstop Elvis Andrus got traded to the Oakland A's for slugger Chris Davis. Now, some of you may say, this isn't that big of a trade. Both guys are kind of at the low, the back end of their careers. Yeah, at the end of their career. But, these guys are still putting up numbers. Chris Davis is putting up power numbers. Elvis Andrus puts up a great batting average. He hits to get on base and to provide runs for the team. And since we're here in Texas, we'll start with our first games of the year because we kind of want to see the Rangers contend. Quick, we had the Astros being good for Chris Davis being good for a good amount of years, and we kind of want to see the Rangers compete. On a bigger note, we did have Trevor Bauer, the NL Cy Young, the best pitcher in the National League last year, was a free agent, and he ended up signing with the Los Angeles Dodgers, the reigning World Series champions.
Wow.
He ended up signing.
There you go. Re-up.
He signed for, I think, the first year he's making about $41 million. He's the highest paid player in the MLB.
Currently or ever?
Currently, with this new contract, he's getting paid. I think it's $41 million next year, if I believe, something around there, or close to that. He's gonna be a force. I mean, the Dodgers were already good, and you're adding on one of the top arms into the rotation, along with what they already have. There's no reason why not to think that the Dodgers are going to repeat as champions. But we'll see. It's going to be a long season, and but this is one of the main signings of the offseason, along with one of the bigger trades of the offseason, where the Colorado Rockies traded Nolan Arenado, one of
Correct.
the best players of the league, best probably third baseman in the MLB, was traded from Colorado to the St. Louis Cardinals for a bunch of nothing really. Uh, they traded him for 4 or 5 players. These guys are all up and comers. They're all minor leaguers. But they traded. Not only did they trade Nolan Arenado to the Cardinals, they also gave him $50 million to pay Arenado because Arenado has one of the highest contracts. Yeah, I think the Rockies gave him, I think, almost a $200 million contract a couple of years ago. So he got traded to the Cardinals, and now the Cardinals look scary now. They were good last year, and they had a good amount of prospects come up, and now with him, it's going to be scary what they can do in that lineup. JT Realmuto, the best catcher in the MLB, in my opinion, he re-signed with the Philadelphia Phillies. The Philadelphia Phillies are trying to contend. They're trying to make it happen. This is one of the big pieces that they needed to keep in order for them to try and make it work. They have Harper, they have Realmuto, they have McCutchen, they have Hopkins. Hopefully that they keep it together and the pitching comes around so that they can contend in the NL. And then a few pitchers made their way to New York. Corey Kluber, former Cy Young, he's in the twilight of his career, but if he puts it together, has a good season, he can be a real threat in the AL. He signed with the Yankees along with Jamison Talion. He was a real good pitcher a couple of years ago, but he has 2 years of injuries coming. 2019 and 2020, he's missed both with arm injuries. But if he can put it together and he stays healthy, he can be deadly. So that's one of the Yankees. They have that big, beastie lineup with all these home run hitters, all these guys. They don't have pitching. They have one pitcher right now, so they have to bring in these guys. They brought in Talion. Hopefully he can show up and he can be what he used to be. And Kluber, same thing. If he can be his Cy Young self, then the Yankees, are going to they struck gold with him. The Yankees also brought back DJ LeMahieu, one of the best hitters, the best hitter probably in the MLB last year. He wanted to stay with the Yankees. There was a lot of contract disputes, but he was able to come back. They did sign him for, I think it was about $25 million a year, and they needed him to stay in to continue with the Yankees so that they can have that batting average and to get on base, for those big heavy hitters that they have in their lineup. So that was a good signing by them. And then George Springer, former Astro, ended up signing with the Toronto Blue Jays. He went for the money. He could have stayed with Houston. He could have gone to other teams, but he went to Toronto, where they have a good young core. They have a lot of exciting guys to see, and I guess they're hoping for him to come in and be that old wily veteran that can teach them some things. And of course, he got his $100 million that he wanted, so it was pretty good for him. It was a good deal on both sides. And then a couple of last trades here that kind of happened at the beginning of the offseason.
I'm gonna step out, guys. I'm sorry. Excuse me. I'm gonna step out.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Some of the trades that happened right before, as the offseason started, Francisco Lindor, the best shortstop, arguably in the MLB, was traded to the New York Mets for a couple of big league guys. But basically, the Mets ended up getting the better of the deal. They got Francisco Lindor, and they got Carlos Carrasco, one of the better pitchers that the Indians had. And the Mets are trying to go for it this year. They're trying to put it all together and try and overtake the Braves to win the NL East. But Francisco Lindor is going to be a big part of it. I just don't know if they have enough firepower in that lineup to make it happen. Consistent firepower to make it happen. And I'll have more on that as we go get closer to the season. But one of the major trades there. Another one was another two. The last two trades I have were for probably the biggest threat to the Dodgers, and they're in the same division. So the San Diego Padres ended up trading for two former Cy Young pitchers. I think Blake Snell won it in 2019, and Yu Darvish won it like in 2017. You're talking about the best of the best here. They were able to get both of these pitchers to add on to their starting rotation, which is now probably better than the Dodgers. It's I guess what you can say to compare it to the NFL is the starting lineup, the starting rotation in baseball is kind of like your offensive line. You have five pitchers, you have five linemen. If you have the best of the best, nobody's going to touch the quarterback. Nobody's going to be able to tackle the running back. The quarterback's going to be able to have as much time as they need to throw the ball, and the running back's going to have huge holes to run through. That's basically what a starting rotation does. The Padres probably have the best of the best, right above the Dodgers, who have the second best starting rotation. So it's. I think this is what the Padres need in order to compete and try and win against the Dodgers. But it's going to be crazy. Looking at these rotations. Honestly, guys, you can compare this to like the best of the best, and it's like having Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Tyreek Hill, Devontae Adams, and whoever else you want on the same team. It's filthy. It's crazy. And so the Padres are gonna be there. They're gonna contend, and it's gonna be very exciting to see what's gonna happen, how it's gonna happen, and how it plays out toward the end of the year.
Cool. Before we move on to whatever our next segment is, want to continue with baseball. I know there was some issue last year about games being played in Canada, mainly in Toronto for the Blue Jays.
Yeah.
First off is, where did they play last season, and will they change the rules and start playing more games in Canada this year? Any thoughts on that, Bosco?
So from the reason why Toronto could not play in Canada, or Canada did not allow Toronto to play, was because of the COVID situation. The traveling back and forth, and at that point they weren't really set up for that. They weren't ready for that. But now, and what ended up happening was Toronto ended up playing a lot of their games sharing a stadium with Washington. The Washington Nationals in Washington, D.C.
Mm-hmm.
Toronto ended up playing a lot of their games there. They played some games in Buffalo. They played some games in Washington, Buffalo, and I believe it was I think it was outside of Philadelphia, I believe. I'm not sure on that third location, but I know they played in Washington, D.C. and they played in Buffalo as their home games. I believe this year it has not been brought up. It hasn't made a headline. I believe that the Toronto Blue Jays will be back in Toronto. They were able to go back and have their home field. And so everything looks, as of right now, everything looks back to normal in that sense.
Okay, some storylines to follow in the weeks to come. Like I said, for spring training.
Oh
Uh,
no, definitely, definitely. It's going to be something that it's going to be very important to look at. If you're following the baseball, because it's not going to be fair when your home field is not really your home field. I
yeah,
remember last year they played a 2 or 3 game series in Washington against Washington, where Washington was supposed to be the home team, and then they played Washington another 3 games where they were supposed to be the home team. So they basically just played 6 games as Washington as the home team.
Wow.
So
yeah.
it sucks, but it's something. You're right. It's something that we're gonna need to follow, and hopefully the COVID situation is better, and it allows for more things to happen.
Very well, man. Yeah, we'll need to watch on that. I don't know. We're going to continue on with some basketball after our baseball segment.
Yeah, so we're gonna do some basketball right now, but
We had a question about MLS.
oh yeah, yeah.
Would you like to just quickly address mainly about Austin FC?
So let's go ahead and just finish off our the baseball segment, and then we'll go ahead and get into that. So I'll go ahead and have you finish off. So in this case, first of all, thank you so much, Tosco, for just kind of showing us a little bit more of the baseball world. Again, you get a little bit more involved into that, especially as we go more into the season and stuff like that. We'll definitely have a little bit more segments on that instead of just general news. Definitely have Tosco. Obviously, he's our resident insider for essentially every sport. And
For real.
yeah, I mean, good job, Tosco. Good job. Gold star for today. Uh, so that's gonna and end our baseball segment. Thank you so much for listening to that, guys. We'll go ahead and just kind of continue on. Now we did actually have a one of our
Our
viewers.
viewer. Yep.
He did talk about the new MLS franchise team. I believe we actually did mention it the other day. Before that, just want to do a Moco Loco shout out. He said he wanted to, man. He said. All right.
It's been said already.
It's been said already. Moco Loco. Boom, boom, boom. Done. Next. So we're gonna just continue on. We're gonna do our new segment. So we did again. We talked about it a little bit more on the previous episode, but the MLS expansion teams. There's a couple new ones. The nearest geographically closest to us, it's actually Austin FC. Mr. Seabass does live there. He's not here with us today. But I live obviously in San Antonio, so it's like real nearby. So it's gonna be one of those teams that I just kind of follow along. Just want to give a little bit more of again. I want to give a shout out, obviously, to all our Austin FC viewers, to Mr. Red Jimenez that they'd actually let us know about it, and just kind of your thoughts in this case, Tosco, about the new team coming to Austin. A good idea to start helping support your local team and just kind of go from there.
Yeah, I think Austin FC is planning to be back for this next MLS season. I think they do. They're preparing them to be ready for spring, right? I believe so. It was in May or in June. They're gonna have the stadium open, and from what we previously talked about to what we've seen recently, the stadium is gonna be amazing. It's gonna be an open concept. They're gonna have jumbotron screens everywhere. They're gonna have a side where there's just a bunch of restaurants, and they're gonna have breweries all around. It's
Wow, that's cool.
yeah, it's gonna be one of those destinations that you're probably gonna want to head to, even if there's no game. But it's exciting at the fact that they're gonna get a professional sports team. Austin is, I think, one of the newer teams is also going to be Cincinnati, I believe. They're one of the new expansion teams also. coming in, and it's gonna be awesome. Like it's gonna be something more you can do in Austin. You're gonna be able to go out. You're gonna be able to experience it. You're gonna be able to see it. And from what I hear, there's some big names behind it that are backing it, and hopefully that the COVID situation doesn't uh, scale back or prohibit the or or delay the opening of the stadium and the season. Because even though I believe MLS did play, had their season, finished their season even through COVID, so I think it's going to be awesome. And the season, the stadium's basically done, and I can't wait. I can't wait till we be able to go and experience it ourselves, and go and see some of these professional players and some of these international players that we know, and it's gonna be a good experience for everybody.
Most
Yeah.
definitely. Austin does have a big fan base that's already ready and thirsty for it.
I was gonna
Uh,
say, yeah, I know that a super fan Art that was living there for a bit. He then again did go to UT. Tell us a little bit about the sports world there in Austin. Obviously, we know UT is obviously big in their football, but um, but just let us know kind of like how the environment feels, how it's gonna be downtown and stuff like that. Just a little bit about your thoughts on that.
Cool. Yeah, like anyone who's known Austin or even lived in Austin, it's a big entertainment town. And in the sports world, what dominated was always the Longhorns, and to a certain extent, even the baseball and basketball teams did kind of provide some sporting entertainment. And
Kevin
now,
Durant.
well, once upon a time, Kevin Durant, and a few years back, I think they just added Formula One racing, like on the outskirts of the city. So now they have MLS soccer, so they're kind of catering towards people's different flavors of taste in sports events, which will draw in bigger crowds, more income for the city, and I mean, what is? I mean, Austin. They had the Austin Ice Bats. I don't know if they still got them. So they're trying to have something for everybody to enjoy, and MLS already had a big reception. Like a lot of people were really rooting for it, and they finally got it. So I mean, best of luck, in their inaugural season. And I know a lot of all buddies will be tailgating, win or loss, before and after the game. They'll be like in their colors and everything,
That's awesome.
going
And
wild
and
to Austin style.
and I think that Austin Austin is one of the most rapidly growing cities in the United States. And I do believe that maybe, like Arturo said, F1, the United States Grand Prix is there. Having MLS, I think that having professional sports of the non you know main four leagues there kind of helps. I don't think having an NFL team or an NBA team. I'm not saying that they wouldn't make money. I just don't think it fits with the persona of the city. And this is just me, just a visitor. I never lived there. I never, it got to experience fully. But just from all the times I visited and trips I've had, I feel that the city wouldn't really be into, the the actual intensity of having a football team, of having a basketball team or a baseball team. I think them having UT having the college sports really helps because they're involved, but they're not really involved. If you want to go, you can go. If you don't, that's cool. Don't worry about it. We're here to have a good time. I feel that, when you're in football, those people can get intense. They're there. It's like, it's all about the NFL team. If you don't like it, get the hell out. And I don't think it's like that the way it is when they're, out there tailgating for UT and out at the F1 track. And I don't think it's going to be like that with the MLS team. I think it's going to be, very laid back, going to go see some soccer, enjoy the area, and then make their way on to the next thing. So I actually do think it's a good thing for Austin, and hopefully, it hits and it gets big and it continues on.
Oh yeah, man.
Socially distanced.
Yeah, so just kind of bringing Beto into the conversation, we're talking about the new football club in Austin. So there's like Austin FC is actually showing up in Austin in 2022, right? So not this year, next year.
No, it's this year, summer this year.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Cool. So summer this year already. So we're just kind of giving our thoughts on, you, well, you haven't really lived in Austin. I know you visited a couple times, but just kind of getting the overall. There we go, Austin FC, nice. There we go, showing some repping right there.
Mhm.
And it's kind of crazy because like their slogan is kind of like Ponte la Verde, which is kind of like the green because it's in
Yeah.
Mexico, whatever. Um,
Mhm.
Not
so
really
yeah,
light screen.
so, but in this case for you, Bato, just kind of talk a little bit about what you think that a soccer, an MLS in this game team will bring to San Antonio. It is a little bit closer to the border. I know that obviously, as you get closer to the border, soccer gets a little bit more involving, at least in um,
Yeah, the
Predominant.
fan base.
predominant. Yeah,
The more south you get
Mhm.
in the U.S.
yeah, just because it's a little bit more for the for the in this case for so the closer you get to South America, obviously it's a little bit more popular there. So,
Mhm.
but yeah, just like your thoughts on that.
Okay. Well, before I get to that, Todd McShay just came out with his mock draft, and they projected the Chicago Bears to trade up, I think, with the Dolphins for the number 12th pick to get Mac Jones, QB. Just to throw that out there, that Tosco was mentioning that earlier with the
Oh,
Bears.
Tosco, what do you think about that?
So,
That's not gonna happen.
but
True.
but anyway, as far as MLS, uh, it's the original football. What can I say? But as far as like you said, you made a point, Danny, that as you get further south of the border, um, soccer becomes more of a predominant thing. Um, Much like baseball is the American pastime to us, it's soccer. Also baseball is a big thing in Mexico as well. So there's los tecolotes from No Laredo. So uh, to be honest with you, from personally speaking, a person who's gone to many sporting venues, sporting events, Boston, as far as I've gone to many UT games. Um, that fan base is diehard. Um, I know, I know they were planning on getting the Raiders before they went to Vegas in between Austin and San Antonio, and I know that could have been a big hit as well. The fan base is it's a diehard fan base. I think they will follow, they will do it, but maybe it's just another excuse to open up a cold beer and tailgate, just like Artie said.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Get some
will it
pluckers.
be will it be like Longhorns, like how Tosco said? You don't like the team. If you don't, get the fuck out. Um, at the end of the day, with the MLS being there, yes, I think it's going to turn up. I wouldn't say a sellout, especially right now with COVID. But COVID aside, would it be a sellout every game like the UT games? No, it won't. But I think it's just another venue to bring more income into a city that I think is well deserving of having a professional team. But I don't think soccer would be one of them.
Yeah.
So
So I mean, we'll see how it goes. Obviously, with COVID, I know sports has changed a lot, especially the way how stadiums are. Um, we're seeing now a little bit more capacity for the fans, not just and honestly in any sport, whether it be soccer, football, basketball. So in this case, um, we'll go ahead and just kind of, just letting, moving forward along with that. We'll definitely kind of keep up with the MLS stuff and stuff like that as we move forward with that, as it as continue, to um evolve and get the fan base and everything like that. Maybe bring in a fan to see how it is, going to a game and stuff like that. So we'll definitely do that. But yeah, then we are gonna go ahead and wrap it up today, guys. To go ahead and just finish off for today. Um, I'm glad that we were able to go ahead and actually get Beto, back into the mix. I'm glad you were able to get into that. Yeah, I know we missed Mr. Seabass today, and him and Tosco, their epic battles that tend to have.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I've seen that from time to time.
yeah, for real. But in this case,
Show me your moves.
yeah. So we're gonna go ahead and like I said, we're just wrap it up, guys. Today, just for you guys, for the audience, just keep an eye out for all the YouTube stuff. We'll go ahead and start doing our wrap up. All right, guys. So that's it for this week's episode. Hope y'all can chill with us next time. So go ahead and follow us on Facebook, Twitch, Instagram, and YouTube. I want to thank all of our sponsors, Tasmagoria, for all of our graphics, music provided by Studio 13th Day. This is Dan BMD signing off. See you later to all. Bring it home, Arturo.
Thank you, Dan. Listen to the Day in Sports, where people go to retire, but apparently Brady has found the fountain of the youth, and he's just going to keep on rolling. Remember, sports are great, but mean nothing without you, the fans. This is episode number 12. Until next time, folks, be cool, stay safe, and keep on listening to Mezzo Forte Sportz.
All right.